25, oh no. Thank you. So 25 hundredths, half of that would be 12 and a half. So 25 hundredths plus 125 thousandths would lead me to 375 thousandths. And this is ever so slightly more than that.
On your feet, girlfriend, on your feet. You're getting the tap of the coveted Kim Sutton brain pointer on a Math Whiz pencil. It will arrive to you before next week's session. Wait for this part right here, people. Here it comes. Live for it. Live for it. I love using that song as a celebratory song with children because the first thing they say is, "We don't even know that song, Miss Sutton." Then I get to be extremely profound and say, if you work real hard in this lifetime, you're going to hear that song on several days. It always means you've graduated to the next higher level. What happens to the posture in the class? Yeah, it's ever so slight, but you will see it happen. Now take your extra digit cards and just tuck them behind the digit cards that are in place. As I give clues, you can change your number. So far, we have a set of clues for the whole number, and we have a set of clues for our decimal. I gave you 3 examples of set models of fractions. We used the chips, we used words, and then I used a fraction to describe the number of digits in the number we were building. That was 3 examples. Let's look at the third model of a fraction. Put a note. The third model would be a number line model. I will talk about number lines today with you. If you look over my shoulder, you will see probably the invention of mine that I am best known for in the math community. Number lines are mentioned more frequently in Common Core standards than any other math tool. Here's the thing, I kind of have bored you. So right now, I think it would be really fun for us to play a game with number line fractions. Ooh, a game. Would you take your hand out right now and would you number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the front? I got my first teaching job when I was 20 years old. I really had no business getting the job I got. I was hired to teach 2nd grade, and everybody always says, well, you had a credential. Of course you were qualified to teach 2nd grade. No, I had student taught at the 5th grade level. I had no primary teaching experience. When I started teaching, I thought children would just be motivated to hear and understand everything I taught them. But bottom line is, I had a pretty steep learning curve on what actually motivates students. But it seemed like every time I said certain 4-letter words, they would sit up and take notice. So you are making a list of my 4-letter motivational words. Here's the list. Next to the number 1, write the word game. Call something a game, whether it is or not, and that's a motivator. There is something very obnoxious that occurs when you say you're going to play a game with children that keeps us as teachers from ever wanting to play games with children. What's the obnoxious thing? What do we get, Miss Sutton? What do we get? And when I was young, I would deliver this sermonette. You get the pure satisfaction of playing the game, and in life, that should be good enough for you. But nobody wants to hear that sermonette. A teacher saved me years later. She said, no more sermonettes, Kim. When they say, what do we get? What do we get? You're going to dramatically draw back your arm. So take your arm, draw it back to your shoulder. Good job. Then you're going to dramatically launch forward with, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Let's practice it. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Now, don't be surprised if Becky uses that with you at a teacher's meeting. Here's the thing. Call something a game, whether it is or not, and that's a motivator. Would you put a note? What you really want to write down next to the word game is the word practice. Games in mathematics are the practice that children need to get good. Here's the reality. We do it in this state and we do it on such a schedule, it drives me insane. Every 7 years, we've got to buy a new math textbook. We've got to buy a new book, got to buy a new book. Here's the thing, people, if that was going to fix it, it should have fixed it years ago. Bottom line on that is typically a book has a lesson, maybe a page or two of practice, move on, new lesson. Nobody learns like that. No one learns like that. Games are meant to practice math. The second 4-letter word is the word dice. Now, open up your toolkit, get out your bag of dice. Sometimes this is the reason people come back to see me. And if you ask Robin and Linda how many times they have seen me a lot. And they get bags of dice every time they come. So here's the thing. If I don't give you this 10 seconds, you'll take it anyway. So you've got a couple of minutes. You ready? Let them out to play, people.
All right.
Take them out.
The player's gonna play, and the haters gonna hate, baby. I'm just gonna shake. Shake it out, shake it out. Heartbreaker's gonna break, and the baker's gonna bake, baby. I'm just gonna shake. Shake it out, shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out.
Now we'll use this bag of dice. I call them dynamic dice because the results are very dynamic with children. Here's the reality. Last year when we went virtual, I turned all my dice into spinners. So if you look on my website, you will see spinners to replicate all of the dice. But I'm going to teach you a lot of games that are meant to practice mathematics. So right now, you're going to meet my dice. If you look, you won't have to do any writing. On page 5, you will see them listed. So pick up the cube within the cube. I am going to call these double dice. Anything I do with these, you could easily use 2 regular dice. So don't think you need the novelty of these. I'm just basically rolling 2 dice. Now, the dots on dominoes and dice are called pips, P-I-P-S. That's their math name. Go ahead and roll them. And John, just unmute and tell us how many pips you rolled.
I rolled 6.
Now, here's what I know about John. He can subitize numbers. Subitizing is the big buzzword currently in math. My K1 teachers know it. You know it well, even if you don't know that fancy word for it. The ability to subitize, John said, I rolled 6. He didn't say I rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So number sense starts with